What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be discussing 10 ways to literally have aim like an aimbot on console or PC in Apex Legends in the actual quest to become the best player that we can possibly be. This video will provide in-depth tips on what I have found has improved my aim, as well as what other people have also found useful. These are 10 key tips that will honestly instantly change the way that you play and will ultimately make you get more kills and more wins in Apex Legends. So make sure that you stick around for the entire video to find out all of the information. If you find this video useful and interesting, then please do not forget to start that aim practice on that like button, subscribe and comment, and obviously let me know in the comment section below if you have any other tips that I do not mention in this video. I hope that you all enjoy it. I'll see you in there. Now, first up, and in my eyes, being really the most obvious, is your sensitivity. Now, I know back in the days of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, really the only cool kids will be using sensitivity 12, throwing down some crazy no-scopes, 900-degree spins, and have an extremely loud Skrillex dubstep track playing in the background. But in Apex Legends, and in my humble opinion, having a lower sensitivity, probably between a 3 and a 4, is the most optimal. Now, obviously, this is personal preference, and if you are a laser with a sensitivity 10, then that's great for you. But for the most of us who don't play maybe 372,832 hours a day, we need some time to steady our shots, and this is where a lower sensitivity helps. Apex Legends, if you weren't obviously aware already, is an extremely reactive game, and being able to react to a situation that you may not have anticipated is key to survival. I personally find it very easy to overcompensate with the analog sticks, and if someone happens to jump in front of me when I didn't expect it, it will often or not make me miss a few shots, and crucially, will then make me die. If you have a lower sensitivity applied, then even with this overcompensation, you should still be able to react fast, but more importantly, you'll be hitting those shots which you would have missed before, which will be crucial to you winning those gunfights. Now, I know a few of you will be like, yeah, but now you turn slower, so what then? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a valid point. If someone is directly behind you, then yes, you will be slower, and yet you may have a slightly higher chance of dying, but the idea is to not allow that situation to happen. Control the gunfight, communicate with your teammates to know the whereabouts of your enemies, and at the end of the day, most of your gunfights will probably be in front of you, so it's important to find the sensitivity that's optimal for you and only you to maximize your accuracy. My second tip is to not copy your favorite streamers and YouTubers, but to use them as guidelines. Now, I know it's very easy to watch a Shroud stream and suddenly feel a great inspiration and suddenly think that you are in fact Deadshot, take on 2 squads, get completely and utterly ruined, and then come down to the hard realization that you are in fact not them just quite yet. Now, what I'm saying is not to not be inspired by them, but to use them as guidelines and try and see where their tactics can fit in with the way that you play. At the end of the day, what works for one person may not necessarily work for you, so it's important to find the settings that fit the way that you want to play, whether it's a higher or a lower sensitivity, whether it's a passive or an aggressive playstyle. On that note, also, I want to point out that if you are copying streamers, then please make sure that you are taking into account whether you both have the same playstyle. If you are putting your settings in as an aggressive streamer that uses Wraith, but you are in fact a passive player that uses Gibraltar, the two are really just not comparable, and you'll be dying 100% way more than if you just played to your strength. My third tip is knowing the guns that you are using inside and out. Now, I know this may sound self-explanatory, but what I mean by this is putting in some serious hours in just learning and understanding the guns overall. Now, this refers to whether they are automatic, burst, their recoil patterns, and how they also react with or without their attachments. Learning a gun before using them is crucial to winning a gunfight, because you'll know how that gun actually handles its rate of fire, whether it's better to hold down the trigger or burst fire it, and like the Devotion or the Havoc, so when you'll actually know when the gun will actually start to fire. Every gun has its own level of recoil. Guns like the R99 can make you spray up the side of the wall and accidentally shoot a pigeon. Whereas guns like the Wingman, which have minimal recoil and have a dead center shot on its first shot, are easier to handle, so knowing which guns require more analog control is crucial to you not making mistakes. Apex Legends is a very unforgiving game, and if you are missing those first couple of shots due to this, your enemies will capitalize on this, which will inevitably put you in a very vulnerable position, which could lead to a very premature death. Now, in Apex Legends, you cannot choose the guns you find, so you will need to practice and learn with every single one, just so you are giving yourself the best chance to win all of your gunfights and all of your games, not just specific ones when you happen to find the exact gun with the exact camo, which has that 17-year-old aged leather that you are so used to. Just make sure you are a pro and a beast, and you are used to using all of the weapons available. Following on from this is making full use out of the training ground. Now, this is a mode that I honestly feel is overlooked hugely. The training ground is where you can practice with any gun for an unlimited amount of time on stationary, or more importantly, moving targets. Now, this mode also allows you to practice your snapping and tracking techniques, which are two crucial shots which you will need to be getting consistent in Apex Legends to succeed. Snapping, in essence, is being able to consistently hit headshots to achieve maximum damage, and tracking is your ability to hit every bullet on a moving target. You can use the ground as a way of consistently hitting these two shots by learning the recoil patterns of each gun, as well as being able to build up muscle memory on how to handle the gun with high recoil at long range. Overall, the training ground is just a great tool to dial in your accuracy and practice with every single gun. My next tip is based around choosing the right scope for you and the attachments available. So what I mean by this is that you will find different scopes for different situations, and different scopes that you will prefer over others. Obviously, scopes such as the 4x scope will be better for long range shots, and the 1x scope for closer range enemies. You don't really want to go into a gunfight so zoomed in that you can literally see up his nostrils, so the idea is to choose the right scope for the right situation. Now, you may be asking me, well, Josh, what if people sneak up on you and you are not prepared? Well, my dudes, personally, I think that you should have a scope that is suited for close range at all times, and a long range scope in your backpack, so if the situation arises, you can flick between them both when required. For me though, I have a preference of the 1x scope, mainly because I just like to fight up close and will rarely ever take long shots, because one, you'll really barely do any damage, and when you do, most of the people will just heal up, and two, I kind of like to play aggressively and sneak up on my enemies, so it's important to choose a scope that really suits your style of play and that you are accurate with, in order to be able to hit the most shots and do the most damage in those crucial gunfights. You can practice with all of the scopes in the training ground, but to be honest, you should really be okay with finding your desired scope relatively quickly. Now, the second part of this is how crucial attachments are to your accuracy. Items like the stock will greatly reduce the recoil of your gun, and having this combined with guns like the Spitfire turn them into an actual laser. So make sure you are equipping your attachments as you find them, and do not overlook how effective they are to your overall performance and accuracy in the game. My next tip is taking into account the tools that you are given to you on sniper scopes. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of snipers, but if you are, this is crucial to hitting them every single time. You will find that scopes on the Hemlock or the Kraber will give you the distance of your enemy when scoped in. You will also notice a set of numbers that are underneath the scope. So what you will need to do to actually hit these shots every time is to match the meters with the numbers along the bottom. For example, 300 yards you would place on the enemy on the 3, 400 yards is on the 4, and so on and so on. This will ensure that when you are sniping at medium to long range, you will literally not miss a shot and become an absolute machine with the sniper. Our next tip on having aim like an aimbot may sound obvious, but it is often overlooked, and that is warming up your aim before jumping into your first match. I cannot stress how bad it is for your aim and overall performance to jump into a game without practicing prior. You will find that many people will try and jump into a game cold, miss every single shot they fire, get annoyed, and then lose all motivation to play the game. Smart, because quite frankly, they're in this I suck at this attitude, and it just isn't really going to go anywhere. Just like any sport, It is important for muscle memory to practice easier shots, so when you get into the actual game, you are fully prepared and adjusted to play. Make sure that you are jumping into the training ground to practice reactive shots, tracking and snapping with various types of guns, and so your accuracy is precise. Go into that first game with the "I am the new Shroud" attitude and dominate the game. For all of you PC players out there, I would suggest downloading a program called Aim Hero or Osu so that you can practice your reactive shots as well. For example, enemies that don't move in a normal pattern. So basically, when you need to react quickly to their unusual movement patterns, you can, and they do not catch you off guard. The last tip on this list is from a good friend of mine, Benny Central, and it is known as centering. Centering, in essence, is wherever you are heading towards, whether that's a doorway, over a hill, on top of a building, that you are aiming your crosshairs centered on the most dangerous point of that route that you are taking. Apex Legends is a very reactive game, so if an enemy breaches a door at the exact same time as you, you need to be the first one to shoot, otherwise you will most likely be encountering an inevitable death. Centering is a technique to reduce danger, and that will hopefully ensure that you are catching your enemies off guard rather than the other way around. It also means that if an enemy suddenly does pop up in front of you, there will be very little analog control required, as your crosshairs should technically already be covering your enemy, which should mean that you come out on top of your gunfight. Linking on from this is making sure that your crosshairs are up whilst looting. I've seen so many people loot facing the floor, and there are a few reasons why this is a big no-no in Apex Legends. Firstly, if you are aiming down at the floor, you cannot see what is going on around the environment, and secondly, if an enemy literally pops up in front of you, you won't see them coming, and they could be taking a massive shot straight to your dome, and especially if you are not the quickest looter, you are literally setting yourself up to be an easy kill from an enemy team. Even though the loot box does cover the majority of the screen, you still can see out of either side, so use this as a tool to still monitor your surroundings. So if a team does try and third party you, or happen to try and rush you, you can react quickly and take them out as well. Unfortunately though, we have come to the end of the video. I hope you all have learnt a thing or two on how to become the best player that you can be in Apex Legends. Like I said before, if you do have any tips that I did not mention, then please leave them in the comment box below. Please do not forget to drop me a like, subscribe and comment. I hope you all have a great day. I will see you in the next video. See you later. Bye bye.